Hello everyone, welcome to Social Club this week. Hope you enjoyed the new format. I know we promised there'll be a show on Friday, but then someone decided there wasn't going to be. But there will be this Friday. We're going to be going through the best Premier League 11 of all time, starting with goalkeepers. That should be amazing. And how do I know it's amazing? Because we filmed it last week. It was amazing. This week we're going to be doing left backs, which you'll see next week, and so on and so forth. But we're going to start with the question that are Mourinho, Klopp, Guardiola, etc., all frauds. James Clark, welcome back. Are all these managers frauds?
No, I just don't understand. Like I was saying earlier off camera, the newspapers and different people, all they want is like a binary kind of yes or no, black or white kind of headline to just pump out. Just because Pep Guardiola, for example, is not doing very well, doesn't mean he's a fraud. Just because Mourinho had a bit of a, awkward patch at Man United, doesn't mean he's a fraud. They've got the trophies to prove it, and I can guarantee all four of those managers will win a trophy, at least one trophy before they retire. I mean, like, who can disagree with me on that?
Yeah, no, it's right. Ped, you're often one to disagree, as the resident heel turned guest. What do you reckon?
It's the Roman Reigns.
No one's ever liked Roman Reigns.
No, it's shit, isn't it?
Well, but where do you stand on all this? Because I think I think it comes out of the need for there to be someone to pillory at any given opportunity.
Do you know what? Using wrestling would actually be a good sort of thing for it, because it is this idea that the media need good guys and bad guys to portray. I mean, let's be honest. They're all shit compared to Steve Bruce. Because, number one, no one has gone to a kebab shop in full trackie recently. And number two, no one's jumped over their striker's wall either to test if the gates are open, which are just two amazing things. Amazing.
Gotta love Brucey.
That's amazing. I love that. I love the fact that he's turning up at his house and going, you're full of shit.
That's old school fella, that, isn't it?
Yeah.
I remember doing that, going to senior school and having an interview for the school, so I went to quite a posh school, and my dad turned up 10 minutes into it, and he went, I'm sorry I'm late, and he went, it's okay, Mr. Mid, he went, but I couldn't find the gate, so I had to climb over your wall. Brilliant, there you go. Old school fella solution to it. Thanks very much, Dad, as well. But yeah, you're right. I think there is that pantomime-ness to it.
It is pantomime because it simply comes down to this idea of having to sell newspapers and having to sell 24-hour news. Funny enough, I was watching this programme last night. It was like a programme about the 80s, and it was about when CNN got launched. And it was dead interesting because there was a fella on it, and he worked for like a legitimate news agency at the time, and he said, well, the news is just going to become a joke because it's all about the shareholders now. And I thought, he knew, didn't he? And it's the same in sport, isn't it? It's the same as if you've got 24-hour news, you need to fill it with something. You need to make bad guy, good guy.
Exactly. You did something about this, touched on this, I guess, to some extent on the podcast with Matt this week, or last week, I should say, which is about the way that the Mirror are portraying the Ryan Mason injury and how they're going out there because they need that grab in. And I say, it's probably, look, this has been going on for a while. I'll be honest, it's caught my attention because Klopp's become the latest one to be under the microscope on it, and I think it makes me laugh because I don't mind, and I had a bit of go on this on Twitter. I don't mind it from other club fans because it's kind of your job to wind other people up to some extent, but it is this thing of like it's the mainstream media and it's a load of generic football sites just fucking wanking themselves senseless because they've got someone they can drive some clicks with because it gets people riled up. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean if you think about the Ryan Mason thing, is that once the Ryan Mason story was told, people are still interested in Ryan Mason because they want to know whether he's getting better, is he going to play football again? You know, they want to know as a human being, is he going to be okay? But from a newspaper perspective, they still need stories around Ryan Mason. So what they'll do is actually, well, what else can we write about him? Oh, he's got a fit wife. Let's talk about his fit wife. Post some pictures of her, and she's attractive. But that's besides the point, because the only goal of this newspaper is to get clicks, generate revenue, and justify their own existence.
I was just going to say, sorry, this sounds awful, but it's the Kardashian media that's been created and it's filtered into football. And how sad's that now that he's the spotlight, Mason, because something bad's happened. So it's let's focus on him. Now I know a few journalists, and I know that they used to keep stories in their back pockets for when the time arose. You know, let's not waste a story when no one's talking about this player. Let's wait till he has a great Saturday afternoon and then we'll throw it in the Sunday. But now it just seems to be all the time. And it is that Kardashian.
Thing is, though, the British media has always been like that. You think about, like, you know, Graham Taylor, God rest his soul, you know, the paper that shall not be named was, you know, made an absolute idiot of him. Yeah. You know, similar papers have did that with Steve McLaren. You know, I know England boss is almost that's kind of part of the role. I think
the difference with that is, though, that's spontaneous. That is a spontaneous thing. This seems to be just like a recurring headline. It is like a wrestling storyline. Yeah. Good guy, bad guy, they flop, you turn, and then you continue that. You back the story up with more stories.
Yeah. What you got to worry about, though, is when it isn't spontaneous and it's made to look so. So if they've got stories, like you said,
they do that all the time.
Of course they do. So if what they'll actually do is create a story around a player so that they can release the gold nugget that they have, and that's scary because that's essentially that isn't news. That's creating a public opinion, which is two very different.
Can I just very just? It happens the other way though. Agents create that as well. I know some players who've tried to leave Merseyside from both clubs, and their agents have gone to that newspaper that we won't speak to because they know that'll piss us off. Therefore, we will turn on the player, and it makes it easier for him to leave. So it works the other way as well.
But just on getting back to the question at hand, I guess the thing that's doing my head in about it is that thing of instead of going, because it's all talk at the start of the season, it was like these great managers, they're going to be playing the trade in the Premier League. How lucky are we to get to see these guys? And here's the thing, right? Because only one of those managers can be top of the league at any given moment. You know, and let's face it, Conte got all kinds of stick early on in the season. It's all been forgotten about now because he's perfect now. Yeah. And it is because the bar's been raised such that if Guardiola isn't the best manager in the Premier League right now, like the fact that he's a complete failure all of a sudden, similarly with Klopp, you know, that Liverpool lost a couple of games, all of a sudden he's, not good enough for his job. Why can't we just, and again, I don't, seeing other teams go tits up, you know, that's part of the macabre fascination with the Premier League, isn't it? Seeing your rivals not being as happy as you. But I think it's pathetic the way that's where footy's gone now, is that rather than going, they're feeding themselves, aren't they?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost a £10 billion industry. Like, there's a lot of money sloshing around, and people are fighting to have a slice of that pie. And if there's that much money sloshing around in the Premier League and all across the world, footballing wise, then people are always going to try and prove their worth and try and get a piece of that pie because it's the game everyone loves, and it's by any means necessary. If it's doing clickbait articles, if it's doing newspaper headlines that are going to attract attention, you want people, you know, it's difficult. It's just difficult.
I mean, at the start of the season, we were talking about this having 7 of the elite managers in Europe. And I'll include in that generously Pochettino because he hasn't really done a great deal, but he's Spurs. And Koeman as well. I mean, Koeman did amazing work.
He's an elite player. I wouldn't say he's an elite manager. Yeah. I genuinely.
Okay, but all right, 6 then. But but
5.
Right, 5. 5. All right, but like you said, only one of those 5 can win the league, and there will be obviously they're coming up against tactically astute managers. It's going to be difficult for Guardiola to implement his style in England because it's different to what's played in Germany and Spain, where majority of the opposition that they face probably isn't as competitive as it is in England, right? That would be my opinion, but that's kind of how I feel about it. So there's always going to be moments where these managers aren't going to be as successful as you thought they might do because Guardiola came with such an enigma that we thought he was something special. He's a human being.
Yeah.
Wait till they find that Conte never had hair. Wait till they find that out. Yeah.
So no, they're not frauds. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I think that's the thing for me is it just adds this sort of Damocles to fucking any success you have because you know you're only 2 defeats away from him. You manage being and the thing is, it's all these ancillary sites that pick up on it, and all of a sudden we were talking about this, but we've done it on the past. But there's football banter AIDS shit of tag a mate who fucking does this stuff. I'm sorry, but it's fucking. I always say, look, we did this on Redmen today, and it's hard enough supporting your team. It's hard enough supporting your team when things aren't going well, and then when you've got some sociopath behind a fucking faceless Twitter and Facebook account who's trying to convince people to wind you up as well. You know, it saps the enjoyment out of football.
Can I ask you a question, though, and I mean this? Well, it's not a question, I'm going to say this. It's not harming the game, though. Because we are all Flavio looking at me like I'm mental.
I just can't believe you're about to come out with a sensible point.
It's not harming the game for us, though.
Right.
It's actually making the game better for us.
Okay.
Because the interest is just getting bigger and bigger in the Premier League, and we're reaping the rewards. I know, as a fan of...
Yeah.
Sorry, you mean us as in who we are, or
as
us
our
as in football fans?
as fans of our clubs, we are reaping the rewards.
Yeah.
James has dropped out of that, and I'm not having a go at you. I'm just saying, and life has just become very sort of. He's left the party. We're very much still in it, and our clubs are mad. They're getting a new stadium.
Yeah.
You know,
Cladding.
we've just got cladding. It's fucking amazing. No, but we've just got taken over, and there's all talk, and we've just got money, and other teams are talking about us, and like jealously now of the money we've got. Like fucking.
My problem with it is that sorry, pedant Flav, and everyone listening, to be perfectly honest, is that it just, again, this added pressure. What it means is it puts ideas in people's heads, and it creates this culture of every manager can go at any given time, as though losing a few games on the bounce means game over, and it becomes a story that just every time you then subsequently lose, it doesn't matter if you win 10 games on the bounce, the second you lose 2 more, that seed has been sown.
But is that really happening though? And the answer is no. That is not really happening. In the newspaper media world, they like to think that's happening. In the real world, that's not happening. No one's being sacked. None of these managers are getting sacked.
No, but mate, think of...
I know it's shit.
You've been very black and white on a lot of your managers, you know what I mean? It's been an easy thing. When you're divisive over a manager, that is something that gets fed into you from the media, because it gives people this notion that it's acceptable to sack your manager when they've had a couple of games.
Well, do you know where it happens? Do you know where it happens? And again, I'm not having a go at anyone. It happens at clubs like QPR, where they do look at the new scene and panic because they want to be part of what our clubs are part of. It happens at Aston Villa. Those clubs who, do you know what it is? It's the clubs that their managers are not being talked about, where they seem to press the panic button. Yeah. They want to be talked about. They want to be. I
think it's as much about. I 100% get that, but it's such a difficult thing to become a part of that elite, and it's why you get managers club owners a little bit trigger happy. But it's down to fear, I think. The fear of relegation, the fear of not qualifying for Europe, the fear of not qualifying for the championship, the fear in Arsenal fans of not winning the league each season.
Well, that's not a fear, that's just a reality.
Yeah, I know, but they're scared of not being successful, because the only thing they have really is that success.
I think also, like, I think part of it now, especially if you look at the Chelsea model, is return on investment. That's obviously a conscious thing for a lot of chairmen now. They want a return on the money they're putting in. If they're giving interest-free loans to X, Y, and Z to certain clubs, then they want a return on that with the big Premier League money.
Yeah, like I say, my big issue with it is all just this, though. It's like I say, it creates this no smoke without fire attitude. But when you're creating the fucking smoke in the first place out of nothing, from a Liverpool perspective, one crank phones up 5 Live and says, Klopp's got to go, and that becomes a thing. Liverpool fans think this. Liverpool fans don't think this. Some idiot thinks this, but then that becomes the story.
Do you know who else doesn't think it? The club.
Yeah.
Because, again, a journalist I spoke to about this, and they said to me, Liverpool, we can write stories about Liverpool all day long, and Liverpool never pick up the phone once and have a problem with it. You're writing stories about Liverpool Football Club. Other clubs who've been a little bit more sensitive in the last few years, my own. Anytime anything is written bad, oh, what did you write that for? Oh, what did you say that for? They're shitting themselves. The proper clubs, I just don't think worry that. I think they understand that. And as you just said, it's normally just cranks.
The problem is, though, is that ultimately is that when you've got when you get a big fan base, it makes. We've had this in the past. You can create a storm. You can create people because it's easier for these people to voice opinions. It feels like there's a weight of movement. We had the fucking people flying planes over Anfield or Brendan Rodgers. Pathetic. And that was getting picked up on the news as though Liverpool fans are so against their manager. The flying planes over. No, a couple of cranks with too much more money than sense flew a plane, and then 2 weeks later, a bunch of other lads flew one that says no, he's okay or whatever. Never gets picked up by the media, and it creates this atmosphere, and you reach a point where that does get noticed by the club, and then you have your managers answering questions on it, and your players start to pick up on it, because players do read these things, and they do get a sense of what they're feeling.
What is great, though, is that we can redress the balance in some way. That kid who came on the fan cams with Chris last week, absolutely brilliant, immaculate point he made. it's everywhere. It's viral. That kid made a sensible point, and it went viral.
Yeah,
Do you know what I mean? That's as good as, you know. At least we can start addressing the balance now and get some normality, and people can't believe that's just come out of my mouth. But at least we can redress that now. At least it's not just this faceless corporation run by this Australian knobhead who just maybe with American citizenship just throwing stuff. At least now there is a counterpoint.
Yeah, okay, sounds well. There you go. Well, I don't think we're going to get better than a sensible point from Ped, so we'll wrap up there. Still to come this week, we'll be discussing whether big clubs are disrespecting their own fans by not treating the FA Cup like it's the Champions League or something, and whether Payet himself disrespected West Ham, and whether players get any respect back from fans in return. And later this week as well, as I say, we're going to be in the all-time Premier League 11, starting with the goalkeepers.